So we live in a system that is structured by violence. It's structured by sexual violence, it's structured by sexist violence, it's structured by homophobic, transphobic, racist, classist, ableist violence. And that the real big takeaway from Slutwalk, I think, is trying to build an intersectional movement that deals with the way that all of these oppressions feed off one another and mutually reinforce one another. So what we're doing here today is both a show of strength, a show of power, but also trying to build a community that is able to wage such an important fight, a fight that affects every single one of us where we work, where we live, where we sleep, and in the city that we walk around in.
So I don't know if everybody here knows the history of Slutwalk, but it is an international movement that fights against rape culture, victim blaming, and slut shaming. It was born in 2011 as a response to an all too common expression of institutional rape culture. A police officer's public statement to a group of college students, quote, "Women should avoid dressing like sluts in order not to be victimized." Boo! Shame, shame, shame. But in response, slutwalks all over the world have popped up. He vocalized what victims of rape, sexual assault, and street harassment know all too well. In our society, victims of sexual abuse and rape are often blamed and shamed for the abuse inflicted upon them, while perpetrators face little or no consequences. We say enough! Since 2011, people all over the world have joined local slutwalks, demanding an end to sexual violence and to the social codes of shame, silence, and blame that perpetuates it. The idea that acts of violence can be excused due to a victim's dress, state of intoxication, location, and sexual history is absolutely ridiculous.
Right.
And feeds into a cultural view of sexual assault as not a real crime. Slutwalk Chicago aspires to keep this movement alive, to educate the public about rape culture, to support each other through fun events, and to help drive political change. We seek to create a safe space in which victims can share their stories, empower themselves and one another, and in which sincere allies can join survivors to change the world we live in. We seek to destroy the litany of myths that accompany sexual violence, that victims ask for it, that sexual violence is rare, that boys will be boys, and that it's not a big deal. We also want to debunk the myth that rape is about sex, when it's really about subjugation, power, and violence. We stand for survivors' rights, enthusiastic consent, body and sex positivity, and a world without sexual violence or its threat.
That's right.
We seek to demonstrate that real change is expected and demanded, and that anything less than real, meaningful change on both political and social levels is unacceptable, no matter what you're wearing. I want to thank all of you for being here, for being a part of this community. I am so stoked right now, I can't even explain it. So next, I'm going to hand the mic over to Delia, another Slutwalk organizer.
Hello, everybody. We're going to begin the speakers. Our first speaker is representing the Gay Liberation Network.
It's a lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender direct action group. It was formed in response to anti-gay bashings in Boys Town. This group now works with individuals and organizations to assist them in responding to hate crimes that target them. Here's our first speaker.
Thank you very much. My name is Andy Thayer, A-N-D-Y, last name T-H-A-Y-E-R, and that's for these guys down here. People may wonder why I, as a gay man, am here at Slutwalk. First, most obviously, I would hope, is solidarity, which is really, really needed in this society. But also, people may not know it. In the military, for example, some 53% of the 26,000 sexual assault victims in the year 2012, according to the Pentagon, and you can take that source for what it's worth, 53% of the victims were men. It's not talked about. It needs to be talked about. In prison, rape is endemic and often used as a means of social control. But getting back to the solidarity aspect of this, we have seen the problems rise up when we are not in solidarity with each other. When the AIDS crisis hit the gay male community in the 1980s, it was used not just against gay men, but against LGBT people in general, even though lesbians had just about the lowest incidence of HIV infection of any group. But it was used against everyone's civil rights in the LGBT community. Unfortunately, lesbians recognized that and rose to the defense of young gay men such as myself, and I, for one, am eternally grateful for that. More recently, we've seen with a Hobby Lobby decision, which was portrayed as simply a matter of corporate personhood. They've now apparently developed souls because now they have religious beliefs. But that Hobby Lobby decision is now not only being used to challenge women's rights to control their own bodies through their choice of contraceptive devices, it's also being used to deny LGBT people their rights in these businesses when the supposed religious beliefs of these corporations trump civil rights. As we've seen with a recent murder in Ferguson and police murders in our own town and around the country, solidarity is essential for all of us. And that's why I'm proud to be here at Slutwalk 2014, and I wish you give a big round of applause for yourself for not keeping silent about rape culture and speaking out, whether you're women or not, in solidarity against the rape culture we live in. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Let's hear it for him again. Solidarity is super important. Our next speaker is from the Illinois Choice Action Team. Hey! The Illinois Choice Action Team is a committed group of volunteers advancing NARAL Pro-Choice America's mission. Their ultimate goal is to use the political process to ensure reproductive rights for all women in Illinois.
Hi there, everyone. It's awesome to see such a crowd out here today. My name is Netiya Shiner. That's N-E-T-I-Y-A. If you're wondering how it's spelled, you probably are. As was just mentioned, I am a volunteer with a group called the Illinois Choice Action Team. We are a group of clinic escorts. Yeah, we've got some representatives out there. Woo! Awesome. So we're a group of clinic escorts who volunteer outside of clinics in Chicago and in the Chicago suburbs. And what we do is we stand outside of clinics and we walk women to and from parking lots or, to the door, into the clinic maybe, past protesters. And these protesters are often old white men, although I will say they are more diverse than you would expect. But the bottom line is that these protesters stand outside of clinics because they believe it's their right to scare and intimidate women into not receiving the health care that they need. And yeah. And that's not anyone's right. Nobody has the right to do that, no matter who you are, no matter what gender you are or who you think you speak for. You can't make decisions for other people's bodies. So that's what we believe as clinic escorts. That's why we're here today. I just want to emphasize that this goes on every day. I mean, they're across the country. It happens in Chicago every day, but across the country, every day that clinics are performing abortions, there are protesters. And there are protesters harassing women. They've physically assaulted people. They get violent. They use racial slurs. I mean, I've witnessed all of this firsthand. It's terrorism. It's domestic terrorism. And they're Christian. They're often Christian, often white, often men. And so it's not viewed as terrorism. And so while this is happening on a daily basis, we have unarmed people of color being murdered in this country, but the pro-life people don't seem to care about their lives. We've got 600,000 children in foster care across the country, but I don't see any pro-life people doing anything about that. I mean, what about sexual assault, sexual violence? The fact that the only proven way to lower the number of abortions is by providing birth control. And these people are the same people against birth control. These people are These people are not pro-life. These people are anti-women, they're anti-sex, they are anti-LGBTQ, they are against people of color, and they are there to suppress people, and they are there to enforce their beliefs on other people. And it's time that we collectively say that this is it. Enough is enough. That's right. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. All right, and if you're interested, anybody who lives in Chicago or the suburbs, if you're interested in potentially becoming a clinic escort, find me. I will be around here. Do it. It's awesome. It's super important, and we need you. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Sorry.
All right, our next speaker is reading a statement from Black and Pink Chicago, which is an organization, which is a great organization which works towards the abolition of the prison industrial complex. It's focused on finding, matching, and supporting LGBTQ pen pals in Illinois from people that are incarcerated and people in our free world allies, and learning more about the prison industrial complex and how we can work to abolish that. Our speaker is Jackie. She's an organizer with Slutwalk.
Hi everyone, my name is Jackie Spreadbury, Jackie Spreadbury, Spreadbury, and I'm here on behalf of Black and Pink, which is an organization that supports incarcerated LGBTQ people with free world allies and works for abolishing the prison industrial complex. And I'm going to read a letter written by an incarcerated person. Hi friends, my name is Billy, aka Wolf Blue Eagle. I am a 29-year-old Spaniard Lakota Sioux mix. I'm also bisexual. I'm in ADSEG, solitary lockdown, due to a crime, self-defense, of first-degree assault. The courts ruled that since I injured the guy so severely that I was the guilty party. Regardless of the fact that I'd already been raped in prison 3 times, and that because of my sexuality, I must not really have been raped at all. So I was given 16 years for essentially defending myself when the staff would not help me. I even was told by the housing captain and case manager to stop trying to tell on people, or they'd see to it that I'd be housed with sexual predators and feel what it was like to truly be raped. I've sought help through the ACLU, but was not replied to at all, as if my treatment abuse was of no concern to them, so why should they even care? I've been in ADSEG for over 7 years now and don't have any hope of going to Gen Pop anytime soon, as the Colorado prison system does not have a PC program for anyone that has more than 5 to 7 years remaining in prison, stating it's far too expensive to place inmates in PC for extended periods of time. This seems stupid to me, as it's more expensive to house ADSEG inmates. Due to my long-term placement in ADSEG, and the lack of proper housing PC programs, I'm basically forced to remain in ADSEG for the next 7 to 15 years so that I will be safe from harm and or death. I've even developed acute anxiety, depression, bipolar, and borderline personality disorder due to the abuse and long-term placement in solitary ADSEG. I firmly believe there should be help when needed, unconditionally, for everyone who seeks it. Am I wrong? I know that I've made mistakes and I have to do my time for them, but I also believe that I should be able to do my time safe and secure without fear of being raped or harmed or killed because of my sexuality or past criminal mistakes. Everyone should be loved and cherished, regardless of race, religion, sexuality, or criminal past, as we are all humans and deserving of the best in life. No one should ever have to be subjected to harm or abuse because of their past or lifestyle, so long as it harms no one, ourselves included. We are all born the way the Creator intended, and it's no one's place to force a difference or condemn us for the choices of the Creator. Sincerely and with love, Billy Wolf, Blue Eagle, Colorado.
Thank you, Jackie. Let's hear it again for Jackie in Black and Pink, Chicago. Our next speaker is Steve with Rape Victim Advocates, RVA. RVA is a not-for-profit organization to assure that survivors of sexual assault are treated with dignity and compassion, and to effect changes in the way the legal system, medical institutions, and society as a whole respond to survivors. Let's hear it for Steve.
Thank you. Whoa, loud. So my name's Steve. Steve, last name Adler, A-D-L-E-R. So I'm the Prevention Education Specialist with Rape Victim Advocates. RVA, RVA is a organization that I've been a part of for a little over 3 years as an employee, 7 years as a volunteer. I've been doing pro-feminist, sex-positive rape prevention work in Chicago for nearly a decade. My work, I don't really deserve credit for what I should be doing, but thank you anyway. My work primarily centers around deconstructing male supremacy, male entitlement, and male privilege. Again, thank you, but I don't deserve that. RVA was founded in 1974 by Dr. Natalie Stevens and a group of Northwestern medical and nursing students in response to the negative ways survivors of sexual assault were treated in the ER. 40 years later, RVA has partnerships with 14 Chicago area hospitals and provides 24/7, 365 medical and legal advocacy for survivors in the emergency room. We also provide legal advocacy for survivors going through the criminal or civil legal court systems. Counseling is available for survivors, their significant others, as well as family members starting at the age of 11. We have an education and training team that works with people of all ages and backgrounds starting in pre-K, 4 years old, all the way to the university level, as well as professional trainings to discuss the importance of consent, healthy sexuality, what constitutes sexual violence, as well as how to handle a disclosure in an empathic and caring way. All of our services are free, all of our services are confidential. So if you would like to speak with someone from RVA, either because you're triggered or just because you'd like to find out more about our services, reach out to us. RVA people, can you raise your hand over there? Those are my people from Rape Victim Advocates. So if you'd like to find out a little bit more about us, please don't hesitate to ask. At RVA, we understand that sexual violence does not discriminate. Our advocates and counselors work with survivors from all walks of life, all gender identities, class backgrounds, people with disabilities, sex workers. All of us can be a victim of sexual violence and sexual assault, and we constantly strive to do our best as an agency to educate ourselves about how to better work with and be accountable to all survivors and their loved ones. In addition to advocacy and counseling, I'm part of an incredible education and training team that's out in the community every day speaking with folks about how to best support survivors and how to work towards ending rape culture through addressing language, myths, facts, and the difference between sexual harassment and flirting. As a department, we have begun hosting forums for male-identified folks to discuss our roles in preventing sexual assault and stopping rape culture, because we, as men, we have an obligation to address male privilege, address male entitlement, address male supremacy, and take responsibility towards working for a world that's more equitable, a safer place for women and girls, because this is an issue when 98% of sexual assault towards women and 93% of sexual assault towards men is committed by men. This is a men's issue, it's not a woman's issue. We need to take responsibility for it. So, as an agency, we see every day the strength, the fortitude, the power of survivors, and it empowers and inspires us to continue the work that we do. So on behalf of RVA, we're honored to be a part of Slutwalk 2014 and are grateful to be a community partner in the struggle to end sexual violence and rape culture in Chicago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Let's hear for RVA. RVA people, raise your hands again. So our next speaker is from the Women's Caucus of the Workers' Organizing Committee of Chicago. This is a union of fast food and retail workers pushing for better conditions in their industries. It's the, you may have heard of the Fight for 15, Lucha por 15. Lucha. The Fight for 15 campaign seeks $15 an hour living wage and the right to form a union without retaliation. Our speaker is a speaker reading a statement from the Women's Caucus of the Workers' Organizing Committee of Chicago. It's Red. And she is also an organizer of Slutwalk. Here she is.
Hey everybody. The Women's Caucus of the Workers' Organizing Committee of Chicago regrets they weren't able to be here. They're doing an active civil disobedience training right now for their next strike action, which I think we should all go out and support that when they take the streets to demand dignity, respect, and $15 an hour in a union. I want a fucking union. All right, the statement goes as follows. We, the Workers' Organizing Committee of Chicago, Fight for 15 and Lucha por 15, stand with and commend Slutwalk for providing a safe space for survivors and allies to come together, to voice their collective anger, to share stories, and to build community. As women who work in the fast food industry, we often face violence at work, at home, and of course, in society at large. It is necessary for all women, but especially low-wage working women, to stand up and to fight back against those who not only assault, but also blame and shame victims of sexual assault. We demand dignity. We demand respect. We demand an end to rape culture. We demand an end to racism. We demand an end to the shaming of single mothers. We demand an end to immigrant bashing. We stand in solidarity today. Thank you for joining us. And for the press, my name is Red, R-E-D, Schulte, S-C-H-U-L-T-E.
Right, thank you, Red. And our final speaker is Catherine. She's from Sex Workers Outreach Project, SWAP. Sex Workers Outreach Project Chicago is a grassroots organization dedicated to improving the lives of current and former sex workers in the Chicago area on and off the job. They support the rights of sex workers and their communities and focuses on ending violence and stigma through education, advocacy, and peer support. Let's hear for Catherine.
Hi everybody, I am Catherine Baradovic. That is spelled C-A-T-H-R-Y-N, and I'm Serbian, so my last name sounds like a sneeze, but it's spelled B-E-R-A-R-O-V-I-C-H. It's wonderful to be here, and it is wonderful to be here as a sex worker. Because you hear a lot of stuff like, oh, well, she sells her body, she's asking for it, right? One, I do not sell my body. Right. I rent access to my body. I sell a service. Yeah, definitely I do all of those things. But, you know, if you walk into a store and they're selling candy, does that mean that you can just like pick up some candy? No, it really doesn't. Same principle, guys, same principle. Another argument that you hear a lot is, oh, well, all sex work is violence against women and it's rape, so like you're getting raped for work, so clearly you can't get raped. Also not true and pretty fucked up, because if you're gonna call my choice and my consent, conditional though it may be on the dollars that I make from that consent, rape, that makes my consent completely meaningless. That's right. Yep. Sex workers are at a massive risk of violence because we are so heavily stigmatized. We are also criminalized, which means that when we suffer violence, much of the time we can't report it. That's right. That's right. if I were, God forbid, to get raped by a client, what would I do? Could I go to the police? No, I could not. Because one, I would be doing something completely illegal that put me in that situation. Therefore, it would be my fault, right? Oh, no. Sorry, no! Fuck no! Sex work and the stigma associated with it is incredibly linked to violence against women. A lot of people say, well, if we criminalize the clients and we decriminalize the sex workers, well, then everything will be better. And when you suffer abuses by clients, then you'll be able to get the help you need. I don't think so. It doesn't work in Sweden. You out yourself as a sex worker and all of a sudden you have cops on your tail trying to take your clients from you. Essentially taking food out of your mouth, shelter from over your head, and clothes off of your back. The majority of sex workers who suffer violence are cisgendered women, and even more than that, trans women.
That's right.
And that's a problem. I think we can all agree, right?
Yes!
In order to decrease this violence against women, we need to decriminalize sex work.
Yes!
Decriminalizing sex work will not promote rape. A lot of people like to say, oh, well, selling sex devalues sex. In what planet does that make sense? That is not real logic. That is insane troll logic. Decriminalizing sex work will end violence against sex workers that goes unpunished. It won't end the violence, unfortunately. That's one day, maybe, one day. But it will mean that we are able to take a recourse. Thank you all for supporting sex workers, and it's really great to see such an enthusiastic response because I know that Slutwalks across the country have had issues with including sex workers. We are no less people than you are.
That's right!
And as people, we do not deserve to have violence or rape, which is a form of violence, inflicted upon us. Decrim now! Thank you! Thank you!
Hey there, Slutwalk Chicago community. My name is Lauren Bianchi, Lauren Bianchi.
Just go ahead and say our names. Yeah.
Red Schulte, RedSchulte.
Ashley Borer, ASHLEY, B as in boy, OHRER.
And we are organizers with Slutwalk Chicago.
And Fury.
And a little organization that we're trying to start up called Fury. I'm also an organizer in various feminist and socialist issues here in Chicago.
Fuck yeah.
It has been an amazing experience these past 3 years with all of you. Each year we come together to create a space where rape culture fades away and healing can begin. Marching together in defiance of everything we have been taught to believe about ourselves and each other, I know a better world free from victim blaming and oppression is not only possible, but probable.
That's right.
Today, more and more people are finding the courage to fight. And yet more laws were passed in 2014 that regulate women's bodies and restrict our access to reproductive health care. The first fetal endangerment law was enacted in Tennessee.
That's not a real thing!
Well, it was enacted somewhere. The Hobby Lobby decision further restricted our access to birth control. Clinics in Texas have closed left and right, and women of color continue to be criminalized and incarcerated.
Shame!
trans folks continue to be harassed and humiliated on the streets. And we witnessed the devastating misogynistic murders in Isla Vista, Santa Barbara. Just one example of the increased gender violence taking place around the world. We've seen justice denied to so many survivors of rape, sexual assault, and domestic violence. Survivors like Monica Jones, Marissa Alexander, Cece McDonald, and all the Jane Does whose stories have not yet come to light. Faced with these struggles and more, it is up to us to stand up and fight back.
That's right.
Now is the time to rebuild a lasting feminist movement, and we invite all of you to join us in this project. Thank you.
It is impossible to characterize the world we live in as anything other than violent. When they close our healthcare clinics, that is violence. When they close our public schools, that is violence. When the cops terrorize our brothers and sisters on the north side, on the east side, on the south side, on the west side, that is violence. When we have to plan our routes home after work, after parties, after hours, because we fear street harassment, that is violence. The whole damn system, from the work that we're forced to do to the discrimination that we face on a daily basis, this is violence. It's long past time to call out a system that does this to us. It is parasitic, it is capitalism, and it is time that we bring it down. Woo! Rape culture intersects all of our lived experiences. It is everywhere. It is all pervasive. And it is time that we need a movement that can combat intersecting oppressions with an intersectional approach. This will make our collective goal, the goal that we represent here today, smashing rape culture, that will make that goal possible. But it's going to take all of us, and it's going to take the folks that aren't even here in this space with us right now. It's going to take a commitment to fight racism in this city, fighting sexism, fighting queerphobia, fighting transphobia, fighting ableism, and the litany of other hate-filled manifestations of this rape culture under capital. It is going to mean taking actions just like this today, back into our own respective communities. We have to demand better, restorative justice methods that empower and keep one another safe. We don't want none of this more cop boots on the ground bullshit that Mayor 1% Rahm Emanuel is threatening us with. It is our time to be bold and unapologetic about our ambitions. We have nothing to lose. We have the entire world to win.
This world is a horrible place. This is a world rife with injustice, with oppression, with violence. And the only thing, I will say it again, the only thing that will end this world is a community, collective, grassroots, intersectional, radically inclusive movement to change the deep structures, political, social, economic, that structure the violence of this world. So I'm really glad that you all are here today. But I also really hope that this is not the one day a year you come out.
That's right.
Ending rape culture, ending the culture of violence, demands that we organize not just once a year, but all the time.
That's right.
So look to your left and look to your right. These people are the people that are with you in this struggle. These are the folks that are beginning to form a radically inclusive Chicago left feminist movement. And I'm so glad that there are so many of you. But but we need so many more.
That's right.
This event today was organized by a left coalition of feminists in this city called Fury. That acronym stands for Feminist Uprising to Resist Inequality and Exploitation. We invite all of you to join us. Our next event will be on September 16th at the Powell's Books near UIC Halstead from 6 to 9 p.m. We will be having a community gathering about rape, sexual assault, criminalization, and building a world of restorative justice. Please join us. Please bring your friends. In a world full of violence and exploitation and inequality and sexual assaults and violence, the only thing we can do is fight.
That's right.
I want you to fight. I want you to fight back.
Fight back.
Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. Fight back. When we fight, we win. When we fight, 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 when we fight. We're gonna start marching, y'all.
Wherever we go, no means no. Wherever we go, no means no. Wherever we go, no means no.
We are saying enough is enough. There is a rape culture, not only in the United States of America, but worldwide, and it needs to stop. Men need to be with us in this area. Not all men rape, but men, you participate when you know that there's misogyny, that there's patriarchy, that there is sexism, and you say nothing to your friend, to your uncle, to your father. We need to be rebuking one another. Women rebuke women, men rebuke men, your father, your mother. It doesn't matter who it is. Enough is enough. I come from a background when I was told to be silent about rape, silent about sexual harassment. I was not safe when I was 4. I was not safe when I was 14. I was not safe when I was 24. And I will not be safe when I'm 54. But we are gonna get there. Enough is enough.